that he's straight, that the other fighter isn't on drugs. We weren't able to detect the drugs because obviously, you're able to stay hydrated and mask the drugs until the very last minute. As he cut the weight, as the water went, the drugs were detected in his fat tissue.
So now all of our questions have been answered about Ostarine, about how come it took so long for Ryan's test to come up positive. How come his test didn't come up positive until a couple days after the fight or a couple days before the fight? How come Devin didn't know that Ryan was taking this stuff? It looked like Ryan was getting set up, but there's a scientific explanation on why the test took so long to come up as positive. Ostarine is labeled by the World Doping Association as an other anabolic agent. So it has anabolic steroid qualities to it. Ostarine is lipophilic. What does that mean? It prefers oil and fat. It doesn't prefer water. Now, if you know anything about how things get transferred in the body, potassium, things like that, ostarine, anything in the body, it goes through channels, membrane channels, and things of that nature. So in order for something to go from the cell or organelle into the bloodstream, it has to go through a concentration gradient down a channel. The body is all about homeostasis. So there's a certain amount that has to be on one side in the bloodstream and another side in the cell in order for things to run the right way. Now, once again, ostarine is lipophilic. It doesn't like water. It prefers fats and oils. When you put ostarine in your bloodstream, right, it runs to your fat cells. It doesn't want to be metabolized by the liver. It doesn't want to be excreted through the kidney. It doesn't want to come out as urine because it doesn't like those water cells. It runs to the oils, the fats. It can stay in those fat cells for long periods of time. When the athlete decides to stop taking ostarine, when they decide to stop taking the anabolic steroid, the lipophilic steroid, that causes an imbalance in the concentration gradient. Because at first, there was a certain amount of ostarine or a certain amount of the steroid in their fat cells and in their bloodstream. That matches the concentration gradient necessary for homeostasis. When they stop taking that certain amount, now there's not enough in the bloodstream to match the concentration gradient. So now the ostarine that was in the fat cells is going back slowly into the bloodstream. It's not rushing into the bloodstream, but small amounts are going back slowly into the bloodstream to be excreted because the body wants to return to homeostasis. It has to be a certain amount on both sides, in the bloodstream and in the cells. This is the best way I can explain it to you. I was some trash in biology, but if you think about that method, if you think about that science, then it would make sense why Ryan's test took so long to pop dirty. Ryan had been taking ostarine for a certain amount of time. It was stored in his fat cells. He stops taking it, and slowly but surely, the ostarine tries to excrete itself from his body. It's no longer in his bloodstream on the regular. So the ostarine that's inside of his cells has to find its way out because there's a concentration gradient imbalance. And slowly, that ostarine is coming into his bloodstream through the liver to be metabolized into the kidney, and then it gets urinated out. Boom, you pop dirty. So that's what happened. Everybody has been acting like somebody tried to set Ryan up. No, Ryan set himself up. He didn't have the proper masking agents. He probably was using it too close to competition. And who knows how long he's been using this stuff. Because you can hide it in your system for so long. It attaches to the fat cells. He just messed up. Somewhere his biochemist messed up. His people messed up and he got caught. So this wasn't no setup from the Illuminati or none of this other people were saying. This was just Ryan making a mistake. That ostarine was hiding in his fat cells and then it slowly started to secrete itself out once he stopped taking the ostarine. Why would he stop taking the ostarine? Because he knew he was going to be tested. Ostarine and other anabolic steroids can be found in your body weeks and sometimes a month or two after you stop taking it. That's how slowly that stuff secretes from your fat cells because it really doesn't want to come out from the fat cell. But since you stop taking the drug, it has no choice. It has to come out in order to get that body back to homeostasis. This is a basic breakdown of what happened. Once again, I was trash at biology in college. I promise you. But if you could understand the basis of what I just said, you can understand how and why Ryan cheated. He was not set up, he simply cheated. Now people, they like to say, well, it was only a small amount of ostarine. We don't know how much ostarine it was. What we know is this. It was 60 times above what is allowed to be in the body. 6 nanograms is 60 times above what is allowed by the World Doping Agency. So Ryan, he could have been taking way more than that. And he just excreted it out of the system before the time. Once again, it's an other anabolic agent. Anabolic agents help with what? Power, speed, weight loss, stamina. You're talking about a Ryan Garcia, a guy who admits to, smoking that tree, a guy who admits to philandering around with women, a guy who admits to drinking, a guy who doesn't submit to a proper training regimen, doesn't do his road work, doesn't really put those long, hard hours in the gym, according to Canelo Alvarez and Eddie Reynoso. Remember, they're the ones who spilled the tea on Ryan Garcia not really being dedicated and not putting in the amount of work that it takes to be a champion. This guy was able to go string for string, punch for punch, and drop Devin Haney, one of the most conditioned boxers in the world, multiple times. The reason why I picked Devin to beat Ryan is because I knew Ryan was going to get tired. So Ryan was supposed to go into those deep waters and drown. But since Ryan had other things swimming in his system, he was able to perform on a level of a fighter that trains year-round because he had that ostarine. So for people saying, well, 6 nanograms wouldn't make a difference, Ryan would have did this, Ryan would have did that. Yes, it would make a difference. And you know who knows that it will make a difference? Ryan Garcia. That's why he took it. If he didn't need it, he wouldn't have taken it. But y'all let me know what y'all think, man. This development by Bill Haney explains the questions that I've been hearing since the incident.